Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, August 3rd, 2026. It's 5:30 in the afternoon. I'm going to call this regular select board meeting for the town of Morristown to order. Do we have any agenda changes or additions? No. Community comments. Do we have any community comments?
I have something,
Leah?
if there's no one else on the floor. I just wanted to share that coming up on August 19th, which is Wednesday, August 19th at 5 o'clock is the 14th annual free corn roast put on by the town with the Oxbow Music Festival. And then the co-op, Morrisville Food Co-op, provides 600 ears of corn roasted with toppings for your enjoyment. Join us.
Thank you, Leah. Do we have any other comments?
I have something along with Leah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not on the agenda, but the town clerk's office, along with the library and the new civics group in town, we are running an election to vote on next year's dog tag. So it's going to be orange, but there's 3 different shapes you can choose. So there's ballots in the town clerk's office, there's ballots at the library. The library is going to have ballots at Wednesday Night Live, and we're going to reveal the winner at the corn roast.
Nice. Thanks, Sarah. Any other comments? Okay, I'm gonna move on. Number 4, approve the minutes from July 20th.
I'll move to approve the minutes of July 2026.
Thank you, Richard. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Richard, second by Leah. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the minutes as are included in our packet, say aye.
Aye.
Be unanimous. Okay, new business. Number 1, set the 2026-2027 municipal tax rate. So we have in our packets information on the proposed tax rate and information from last year. I'm sure everyone noticed that municipal and highway tax rates are now combined into one. So that's the reason for the change there on that first line. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to set the FY 2026-2027 municipal tax rate of 0.7787 cents.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion by Richard and a second by George. I hesitated because I was reading the wrong set of 7s and 8s. Okay, yes, the new tax rate would be 0.7787. That's correct, Richard. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, that would be unanimous. So we have a town clerk update. We have 2 items here. Sarah, would you like to speak to these? The first is in regards to the primary election on August 11th.
Sure, Sarah Haskins, town clerk. I just wanted to remind voters that the statewide primary is next Tuesday. Voting will happen here in this room. The polls are open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The state did not automatically mail ballots for this election. So if you want an absentee or an early ballot, you have to request it. If you want us to mail it to you, I would highly suggest calling or emailing tomorrow, just so that we can get it to you in time. And if you've already received one or requested one, we're really recommending that you bring them back in person, either to the office during regular office hours, to the 24-hour drop box that's located in front of the building, or you can bring it on election day.
So just to be clear, if somebody wants a ballot early, they can come in and grab one and they can come back sometime between now and next Tuesday and pass it in.
We get asked a lot, so you can come in and pick up your own ballot and then return it. You can't pick up a family member. So like I had to mail my husband and my kids. I couldn't just bring them home to them.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Any questions for Sarah regarding the primary election on August 11th, a week from tomorrow? Okay, and then second part of this is in regards to the general election coming up in November. So
Yeah, it's hard to be thinking about the general election when we haven't even voted with the primary yet, but the Secretary of State's office mails all active voters their general election ballots now. We have historically, since I've been here, always placed our justice of the peace nominees on the back of the same ballot. By doing so, there's no cost to us to run that election because the state will pay for everything. But because the law states that the local board, so the select board, has to choose whether or not to mail all voters their ballots, in order for the Secretary of State to place the justice of the peace on the back of the ballots, you have to approve of mailing them to all voters.
So we have to approve both of those, putting the justice
Yes.
of peace on the back and the
Yeah.
mailing. Yeah.
But there's no cost to us.
There's no cost. So if you decide that you do not want to put it on the back of the ballot and you do not want to mail it to all voters, then you will need to pay all of the election costs, and we will have a separate ballot and have to pay for the tabulator. If you choose to put it on the back, mail it to everybody, then it's free. The state will pick up the tab. So this is relatively new. We did this in 22. So you might be in all new boards since then. I can't remember, Don. But in 24, we had all the charter changes. So how it worked out with the timing of how we were asking those questions, we couldn't actually put it on the ballot. So we had to have a separate election. So this may feel new.
Yeah. Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the printing of the justice of the peace candidates on the back of the 2026 general election ballot that the state of Vermont will automatically mail to all active voters.
Great, thank you, Richard. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
So a motion by Richard, second by Rose. Thank you, Sarah, for all that information. Any comments?
Just need to disclose that I'm a candidate for justice of the peace.
And so is the vice chair.
Yeah, but I don't think that would affect
Yeah.
us voting, so.
You guys ready? You guys?
Not the
ready for
justice
everything?
of the peace, no. I'm a disturber of the peace.
Keep that to yourself. Any other discussion regarding the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you to everybody. Number 3. We have a request to use the Pleasant View Cemetery for Central Vermont Council on the Aging. Thank you. I couldn't read my own writing. So Central Vermont Council on the Aging to use it for a walking group. I'd just like to say, number one, thank you to the council for this request. We don't have a formal policy at this point. But they didn't need to request this, but they have, and I'd just like to thank them for that part of it. Any comments from the board?
I can share a little light on it if you would
Yeah,
like.
go ahead, Leah.
So the Central Vermont Council on Aging has a walking program. It's Walk with Ease, and it's basically a program of the Arthritis Foundation that the Central Vermont Council on Aging administers through volunteers. And so I've signed on as one of their volunteers to learn how to lead this walking class. But it's an hour-long class once a week for 6 weeks. And basically you do warm-ups and stretches, and then people can walk for up to 30 minutes. And then you finish with a cool down. And so they're looking for places to walk where people can meet and gather. The idea was to try to do something outside and offer something that has a path, but also can be fairly simple if someone is just starting to exercise or has any kind of difficulty, but also an area that also has a path that could possibly present a little bit of challenge, like an incline or some hills or something like that. And because we wanted to try to do it outside, we were talking about one place that came up was the Pleasant View Cemetery. And there's 2 great routes for such a class.
So I got a couple of questions. How large a group would this be?
9 people at the most.
Yeah.
The biggest concern that I saw was if people are driving to the class, they would have to park. And so my thought would be, I call it the center entrance, where you pull in and then there's green space. I think the Gloria Wing Monument is there, but they could park along that path that leads past, I think it's the west, the west area, the west tombstone is there. And that's where they'll warm up, and then they can walk up that way and go to the left or go to the right to do a loop.
And would they be going to Pleasant View every week for 6 weeks? Is that the
Mhm.
plan?
Once a week for 6 weeks.
And are they only walking in Pleasant View, or are they using the sidewalks going up towards the hospital?
One loop would come out to the sidewalk, and they'd walk up to, it says a no parking area, but it has a shed. And then they join up with the cemetery and then catch up with a path there. So that really will be very contained within the cemetery or that sidewalk adjacent to the cemetery. The participants are encouraged to walk 2 other times during the week, and they can walk wherever they want during those 2 times. This is just a place for us to meet. And it also works because there is a bench in that area. So if someone does have difficulty, they are able to sit down on a bench. So
And the intent here is just to
get people out in fresh air and to help them build the confidence and camaraderie, to have some company doing it. Yeah.
not to have like a meeting.
No. As a matter of fact, I fully expect the group to split and go, one group to go in one direction, one group to go in the other direction. And then meet back where we started.
Other questions from the board?
Does the town, and Dennis may be the best one to answer if no one else does, have any other policies around pedestrians walking through cemeteries, walking their dogs, any of that kind of activity that's similar to what Leah's Central Vermont Council on Aging is raising? I think it's a good idea. I'm not opposed to it, but I want to make sure that we don't have some other policy or past practice that is contrary to what this is.
I don't remember this coming up, but we do have, I don't know if Dennis wants to speak to this or not. Yeah, by all means, come on up to the microphone, identify yourself. I assume this might be one of the reasons you were here tonight.
I may have to be doing this often. My name is Dennis Smith. I live on Bliss Hill Road. I served Morristown Cemetery Association for 25 years. I am now Assistant Sexton of Morristown Cemeteries. I am here tonight as a resident who is concerned with and has spoken about in the past recreation in Morristown cemeteries. Morristown Cemetery rules and regulations refer to its cemeteries as a sacred place. I have pointed out cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, sledding in our cemeteries, but no one else seems concerned. Pleasant View Cemetery especially is used as a dog park. Dogs run loose and droppings may or may not be picked up by owners. I will admit I have often seen 1 or 2 people walking quietly around the cemetery, causing no harm. My concern is that by allowing groups, it may be seen as an acceptable use, and other groups may figure they can do it also. If kids see groups gathering there, they might figure it's okay for a group to go up riding their bicycles. Right now, there's a large, open, unused area between the receiving vault, which I think is the shed that was just mentioned, and the upper driveway. What are we gonna do? Put some picnic tables there so that we can have social events? It's not being used anyway. Some people are gonna say that's town property for the use of town residents. However, the purpose of this particular property has been determined to be a sacred resting place for deceased loved ones, not a recreation field for the living. This would open a door that would be hard to close. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm glad you came, Dennis, just to provide that alternate point of view. You do raise a lot of very good points. And you know, the fact that we don't have a policy is, you know, it's another one of those areas where we probably do need to think about putting a policy in place. And that speaks to this issue. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may speak again, the part that I spoke about being a sacred place, that is in the rules and regulations that any activity at the cemetery is to be respectable and considerable of a sacred place. That is the rules and regulations.
Okay. Thoughts from the board?
I've got to say Dennis's comments make me pause. Because I very much understand what Dennis is saying, and while I'm probably not as strident as Dennis about it, I also understand what he's saying about where's the line. Two people walking, a couple walking and looking at some of the stones, but not really going to visit a grave is one version of a violation, maybe, but not the kind that sends to triple arms in anybody. But where does that stop and where do we go? And if it is rules and regs that the cemetery has lived by for years, decades, Dennis, both?
Well, we
I'm gonna have to,
I'm sorry, Dennis.
yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you to come to the microphone. Thank you, Dennis.
actually, we did just redo the rules and regulations, I think it was last year. But a form of that wording was already in the past rules.
I think we might all, well, I'll just say, I think if there's a group that's probably not going to cause a problem in the cemetery, it's the Central Vermont Council on the Aging. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but it could very well welcome other groups. So yeah, you're making me think about it. It asks another question. We have a rail trail that is well used for recreation, certainly well used for walking. We have a huge outdoor area up at the high school. We have a track. It does beg the question, why not use those? And that's just without thinking too much about all the different things that are available in town. Why not use those until this board has a chance to really think about how it might want to use or not use its cemeteries in the future? Thoughts?
I just, I do think we should probably come up with some sort of guidelines. I don't know that a policy is necessarily necessary. But we'll say that one of my concerns would be that someone was there, or a group was there while there was a funeral in progress. I would hope that we would have enough common sense to recognize that it wasn't an appropriate time to be there. The other piece that I'm thinking though is if someone is there walking through to see their deceased, how do we determine whether or not it's appropriate for them to be there to visit their deceased when, some of these people
Yep.
that are part of this group might also have loved ones in the cemetery. So they're maybe doing, it's more complicated than what it is on its face, I think.
Right.
A policy seems too far, but I don't know how far we want to get into the weeds on saying no or saying yes, and who do we pick and choose that you can go there and you can't go there.
In all my years on the board, we haven't been asked, I don't recall being asked this question. I don't recall the board being asked this kind of thing in the past. Which is probably why we haven't dealt with this in any kind of a rule or regulation or a policy.
Couple of questions. This group would be during the week? And is the track, if during school, the track is not an option, I'm guessing,
Yeah,
when
no,
school's in
because
session?
We
And
could possibly use the trail behind the school, possibly. I'd have to check on that as well too.
I think one consideration for the cemetery is, again, there's the flat space and you can walk a little bit further without going further away,
Yeah.
which
Loop around.
for seniors is
Yeah.
something that's important to consider. Health and well-being when they're walking, especially if it's a beginning walking. Yeah. I think we would need some,
I guess if we do, I mean, I wasn't expecting a motion here. But if we want to take action, I guess I would request that it be some kind of a non-precedent action. That this is a unique situation for us. But again, I think Dennis does raise some very good points. That would. I meant that because of this, we don't have to deal with some of the scenarios he's suggested in the future. If you have, come on up here.
Yeah, no, I'm wait to that.
Any other thoughts from the board before Dan?
Well, I know that in the past, we have had some bad actors in the cemetery, and I know the police have been there to deal with those. That's just, so I do think that the town and the police do a pretty good job of making sure that there's not shenanigans going on in the cemetery. I don't feel like this group is comprised of people that are gonna be.
No, like I said, it's at the most nine people at the most, but my thought behind it was there's cars though that they will have to park, and to me that there's that, and there would be some stretching. I'm not talking about serious workout, but stretches that'll be done right in that one area before they set off to walk. But
Brent?
Until recently, we had 2 cemetery associations, so I think that's the reason why this hadn't appeared in front of the select board maybe for many, many years. Since we don't have 2 cemetery associations, I recommended that it be in front of the select board because, who am I to make a decision? Wanted to have public discussions so that public could discuss it. I did receive one complaint last year after the season was done that somebody had purchased a tool to pick up needles that were found in one location of the cemetery. So I notified the chief of police this spring. I've not received any reports this year, but I don't think that behavior would be in any way tied with a group that's looking to improve physical and mental health. So, I mean, there are issues of people sometimes abusing the property, but we do try to address them. And if people contact us, we try to be responsive.
I would say, given how this conversation's evolved tonight, it's a good thing that it is here in our labs to think about and talk about. Go ahead.
Dan McLaughlin, Morrisville. The only thing I was thinking, and I agree with Dennis, is that currently and just recently, we have a new Trails Committee. And from what Leah said, this is right now just a program for the rest of the summer. It's like 6 weeks. you
6
said?
weeks.
And when were they expecting to do it? Just sometime in August, September?
Probably early September to
Uh,
mid-October.
I think, again, given that we have a sound organization, asking, I'm doing the request if we could approve it or approve it, I don't know what you want to call it, but for this program to observe it, see how it goes, on a limited basis, but also because we have the new Trails Committee, I forget what they call it, but that maybe they could identify a better place, especially maybe with better parking or some other area. Again, I also don't know their needs. They might need the paved walkway, either for walkers or strollers, or you know what I mean. They may not be able to go on the rail trail or off through the woods, depending on what the group consists of. But again, this is right now, tonight, kind of a place to address that. I think it's worth a trial, given it's a limited program by a responsible organization.
Yeah, just for the record, the Trails Committee hasn't been established yet. It doesn't have membership yet.
Martin Green, Morrisville. Seems like go ahead.
Would you mind asking whoever's out there to?
They're going upstairs.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Seems like, from what I'm hearing, that the issue isn't so much who uses the cemetery, but that people are using it. And it seems like if it's based on who, then it's gonna be up to you to have to decide this every time. And, just respecting what the points Dennis raises, that, that if that's respected in general, then that kind of eliminates having to make decisions every time who's going to use it or who's not going to. So I think it's sounds prudent that that those things don't have to come before the board every time. And the typical use of the cemeteries is respected for what it is.
Thank you, Martin.
I think I will go back to Central Vermont Council on Aging and let them know of the concerns stated. To let them know, because I don't want to, I want them to weigh in to say, oh, maybe this is not a good idea, or no, okay, then that's fine. It's not for me to decide that. So I would want to touch base with Central Vermont Council on Aging.
And I think you'll do this anyways, Leah, but just be clear that it's not because of them and what they might
Correct. Yeah,
be involved in, but
Sure.
rather who's coming after them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you for that. So we,
It's not, this is not a no for them, is that?
it is not a no.
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
Nor a yes, it's,
It's,
we're thinking, yeah.
The
Okay.
board has concerns regarding precedent.
Yeah, but given no, I'll talk to Central Vermont Council on Aging, but given the timing, I think they'll probably find another location.
So the minutes really should reflect the fact that the board did not take any action on this. Neither positive nor negative. Okay, I'm going to move on then to number 4. We are scheduled to have not our next meeting, but a meeting on November 7th. I said November.
Don't rush it.
November. I don't know what's going on in November. We're supposed to have a meeting on September 7th. September 7th is Labor Day, the first Monday of the month. We would normally move the meeting to the following night, which is Tuesday, but it's my understanding this room is booked on Tuesday and it's basically booked for the rest of that week. So given that, I would ask the board to consider canceling that meeting and moving our canceling that select board meeting and just having one regular select board meeting in September, and that would be on the 21st of September.
So I'll make a motion to cancel the regularly scheduled select board meeting on September 7th due to Labor Day holiday and authorize the chair, Don McDowell, to sign the warrants on behalf of the select board.
Great, yes, thank you, Richard. Do I have a second?
Second.
So we have,
When you going with?
I'm gonna go with Leah, because I was looking that way. So Richard, sorry, whoever said something.
No one said anything.
So, motion by Richard, second by Leah. And thank you for the reminder regarding the warrants, and I can come in Tuesday, the 8th, and sign the warrants. Okay. Any other discussion regarding canceling that meeting? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous as well. Okay, number 5, approve Civic Plus Next Request software for the public records request. Judy, are you speaking to this?
Jason's here as well, because it's not something I do alone, I do it with the police department, so. Judy Alberry, executive assistant to town manager. So with the volume of records requests that we have, it's taking up the time of not just me, but Jason, Chief Luno, Lieutenant Baxter, and the desk officer, Jay Lamel. The 4 of us work in conjunction with each other. Because administratively, I might send a request to the chief that involves all of his officers, and then he sends it off to all the officers if there's a request that they need to do. And then he gets back to me, so the communication isn't with me and the officers, it's with me and either the chief, Lieutenant Baxter, sometimes Jay, as well as, it just depends. So there's a lot of people involved administratively in the public records request. So what I'm asking for is for you folks to consider getting the software. Currently, we use Civic Plus for our website, the Civic Plus website. Our software that we're using this evening for the agenda and the minutes is through Civic Plus. It's a program, it's called Select. We also use Civic Plus for the media portion of tonight's meeting that does the media. We also use Civic Rec, which does the recreation program online. Civic Plus also did our audio eye for ADA compliance on our website. We're looking into Civic Plus for the permitting software for Tyler for zoning and administration, zoning and planning. So this is a product we're very well familiar with. It's something that we use a lot of, and Sarah and I do the administration on the back end for most of these products. And we're very comfortable with it. So as far as user interface and the friendliness of it, it's a very good product. Right now it takes multiple steps for us to actually fulfill a request. I have to log in an Excel spreadsheet, so I'm relying on getting information from other parties involved, such as the police department. We have to log in when we do things. We have to log in when we reply to somebody. We have to log in when we fulfill the request. And not only that, but then we have to create a record in which to put all this information that we're gathering. And so there's a lot of steps involved. The Civic Plus software takes all of those steps away. It's a public facing interface. The public goes on, they fill out a form. That form comes to whoever we assign it to. It can be me and the police department. It can be anybody. So whoever gets assigned to, we're allowed up to 10 people that they'll assign it to. And then what we can do is send it out to all the people that are involved in the request. They can upload the documents themselves. The software also does simple, I say simple, redaction. It can't do all the redaction, so it's not going to take all the work away from us. We're still going to have to look at every email, we're going to have to look at every document, because we have to do our own redaction. But the system is capable of doing what they call a simple redaction, such as redact all social security numbers. redact anything that says attorney-client confidential. So there's a lot of things it can do that will save us time. The system also creates an audit trail, which is something that we need to give to the person that has requested the public records. So the audit trail lets them know why we rejected something. It gives the statute as to what qualifies. It actually prints it out on the paper that we're giving them. So I get an email, I redact something on that paper. It identifies why it was redacted. So it does more than what I'm doing right now, because I don't identify it on the paper. So there's a lot of things it can do for us. Jay, I don't believe Chief Bruno spoke with Essex, but then Jay did, correct? Todd spoke with Essex, who's using the software, and they had overwhelming great things to say, and they said that you'll make the money back in no time because of the labor, how intensive it is that we're doing right now compared to what the system will do. I spoke with somebody in Christiansburg, Virginia, and I got the same story. And they just got their system about a year ago, and they're very happy with it. The system improves accountability, it ensures deadlines aren't being missed. It creates the audit ready document that I told you about. It is outside of our current budget, which is why I'm here tonight asking for it. But we're already paying for this through staff time. I can guarantee. You're talking Chief Bruno, Lieutenant Baxter, Desk Officer Jay Lamel, and myself. That's
Keep
4
forgetting me.
people. Oh, and Brent, yes, and Brent. And Brent does a lot of redacting on the administrative side in this building. So there's 5 people that you're paying right now for every document that's being touched. It's going through different folks. So the system will pay for itself just in our time, and it will allow us to get other things done, which are sorely being challenged right now because I'm so busy. So I'm asking you to do this. I don't know. Chief Bruno has anything to add?
I think Judy covered it pretty well. It's really labor intensive right now. And this system, I think, is gonna make, I know will make it a lot easier for the administration side as well as us. So it's a good way to cross our T's and dot our I's.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Jason.
Just a reminder too, we're down 3 police officers. So we're already paying quite a bit of overtime. And each one of these public records requests that come in that require collecting, reviewing, redacting, just adds to that overtime cost.
We as a board have spoken a lot about the tremendous increase in public records requests over the last couple of years, and this is just another a fallout because of that. In terms of money, since it's not budgeted, where would this is software that we're anticipating buying this fiscal year.
Correct. That's a request. Judy came to me and I asked her to put in a memo for the select board to consider because it is out of cycle budget request. I'm confident that we can flex to, take some funds away from other line items.
Okay.
And then, we try to, on a monthly basis, monitor our spending, even though we don't have a purchase order system. We do our best. And, I'm pretty confident that we can cover this in some other line items.
So you're confident the funds are there to cover it in the budget, in the current budget?
Yeah, but if we have a truck blow up and, I can't predict.
As of today.
Yeah.
Questions?
No. So, Judy, I'm looking at the some of the line items in the contract. One of the things that I believe we're contemplating doing this for a 2-year term.
Yeah, 2 years.
And they're looking for a 5% annual escalation. Do we have any way to address that and see if we can get that lower to maybe 3%, or is that?
I've spoken with the gentleman over at Civic Plus who I'm working with, and I've spoken actually with the woman for the permitting software that I'm working with. And Civic Plus already gives us a deal because we have so much of their software, so we're already priced under. And they also give us the pricing, I believe, and I don't have the answer to this tonight, Richard, I can get it, but I believe we're being priced for a population of under 5,000 people or over 5,000 people. I think that's where the line in the sand is for the population. So they're giving us the lower population price for the product already.
So, and that 5% is a standard number.
And they
Okay.
do it across all the contracts,
Okay.
all of them that we have.
And then the other thing was in the contract, they're looking to have a 60-day pre-renewal notice. I think we want to try to get that to 90. Is that something that's?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
I
don't end
did.
up-
Yeah, 60 days. I did ask, there were some questions that I had for them and I wasn't able to get the questions till today, but yes, Richard,
Okay.
90 days is something that they can do.
And then, one of the other questions was if we terminate our relationship with them, we'll be able to get all the data from them in a form that's usable to us
Oh, absolutely.
without jumping through hoops or.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do it for all of our other products that we're using with them. It's the same thing. Sarah and I had this question when we got the very first product from them was the agenda minute software. And that's all of our agendas and all of our minutes. And should we not sign a contract with them to continue using their services? That's all of our products that they're retaining that we need to have access to it. Absolutely. Yeah.
I would entertain a motion.
I have
Oh, go
one more
ahead,
question, Judy, sorry. When you're talking to the other folks that were using it, was there any concern that since the form is now up on the website, that it might attract bots or other companies asking for public data? Would it increase the number of requests that we've seen and heard from other municipalities receiving from out-of-state organizations?
That's a great question. Right now, we have our spreadsheet up on our website that people can access. This public facing product doesn't have to have everything public facing, so we have a choice. So we can choose as the town of Morristown to not have it public facing and have people be able to access and look at and examine, or we can keep it the way, and not have that information up there. So it's a choice we can take.
We're already attracting those organizations that are seeking our
The type of bids that we've
yeah,
got.
purchasing, our bidding
Right.
process. So we're already attracting that from internet, not international maybe, but national entities that are
Also
making
type.
public record requests.
I get the same ones. I've been here long enough now that I recognize the folks that are asking year after year
Okay.
for certain things. So we're already doing.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Can I add that Judy mentioned, her and the police department, but it would be for everybody. I get a ton of record requests too, not nearly as many as their departments. And more of mine are becoming more of the bot, or every single town clerk or every single treasurer in the state's getting them, but just so you know, it would be for all departments.
That's a good point about to mention that. Sarah
Thank you.
uses it too.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Other questions? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of Civic Plus Next Request software with, if we can change, I want to put in there to make sure we change that 90 days from the 60 days in there. So I don't know quite how to word that. Motion to approve the Civic Plus Next Request software with a change of renewal notice up to 90 days and authorize town manager to execute the agreement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
With a change renewal notice to 90 days?
Yes,
And the rest of it's the same?
the rest of it's the same.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So a motion by Richard, second by Rose. Discussion. Okay, so just to be clear, once again, the motion is to approve the purchase of Civic Plus Next Request software with change renewal notice to 90 days and authorize town manager to execute the agreement. Okay, good. Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Number 6, review the interim zoning bylaw language, and I see that David Rue, our town's attorney, is online. Welcome, David. Good to see you again. So we received a draft of the interim of the wording for a interim zoning bylaw moratorium on data centers. And the draft is dated today, August 3rd. And thank you for putting this together, David. It does clarify a lot and kind of gets to the point. I've read through it. My only comment is, and it's a comment that others have had in the past, it's the size of these facilities. And I know initially we had language that talked about 20 megawatts, and this language talks about 10. And given that Morrisville Water and Light, I don't know if it's an average or it peaks out at around 8 megawatts. This is what we're still talking about is a data center that is large, consuming more electricity than the entirety of Morrisville Water and Light, which for me begs the question of, like, should the number even be smaller? So I'm not suggesting it needs to be that. I just wanted to draw attention to it. And then I guess a question I have for you, David, is, because I think I know where the 10 megawatts comes from, but the 5,000 square feet, the 57,000 gallons of water a day, the PFAS not over 10 parts per trillion, the 10 acres and the 70 decibels. Is that language coming from anywhere in particular?
That language came from a earlier draft that was provided to us by the town. And that was, we took that earlier draft and pared it down into this ordinance as, different benchmarks, I guess, to be able to distinguish between a data center used solely for AI purposes and other potentially similar uses. One other question I had in preparing this is sort of the jurisdictional scope of the bylaw. It is drafted to cover the town and the village. Traditionally, I believe the village adopts its own bylaws. I didn't know if this was something that would apply if the select board approved it only within the town, or if the select board approves it, it applies within the town and the village. My understanding being that the village historically adopted their own zoning or approved the zoning bylaws that the town adopted. So that's my only big question out there, other than having reduced the sort of size of the facility that this would cover in terms of megawatts. The 10 megawatt limit you cited is my understanding is a peak draw from the town on Morrisville Water and Light, or from its users.
So that is a good jurisdictional question, and there is history of us adopting bylaws together, but I think that's evolved a little bit in the recent past. Brent, do you have any thoughts on that?
So they don't have separate zoning bylaws. They historically have voted after the select board, and historically they've always been in agreement. So there's a gentleman's agreement that they will receive a vote. They've indicated in a previous meeting that they'd be interested in data center, or several of them, not all of them, indicated that they'd be interested in interim zoning bylaws to address the data center concern. I've shared this with Scott Johnstone last week, as soon as I received it. I've not heard back from him that there are any concerns. That doesn't mean that there aren't, but if that were to occur, we'd have to address that at that point. I've also invited them to attend a joint meeting with the select board, them being the village trustees, in August
24th.
24th. And we're waiting to hear back whether or not that'll work for them. And if not, when will they be able to hold their public hearing? I don't have that information yet.
Leah?
The draft that was provided to the attorney was a draft that Scott Johnston of Morristown Water and Light contributed greatly. He provided a lot of information regarding Morrisville Water and Light and their capacity, as well as the current plans to increase capacity up to 55 megawatts and other additional improvements coming. So he did that draft because he thought a moratorium was a good idea to give the town and the village time to adequately research and plan appropriate zoning bylaws. So a lot of the information that was provided by Scott with additional research, and the high impact use benchmarks came from the research that the town of Royalton did, also informed by South Burlington, and then also informed by a number, just reading and research, but primarily through Royalton and South Burlington.
Thank you. I mean, I will remind everyone, it is a draft, and we put it out here on the agenda tonight to encourage conversation and discussion. Other comments?
I was just wondering why, like the Royalton language was not necessarily specific to data centers, but all high impact projects, and why we ended up going more specifically with data centers and not the more high impact projects of any similar type that would meet these criteria, but would necessarily be data centers.
Are you suggesting that maybe we need that language in here, high impact centers as well?
Yeah, or
that's
high impact projects, yes, that would sort of have the same criteria, but not necessarily fall under data center specifically.
Are you addressing that question to me?
I'm addressing all of us. Sorry.
So we do have a pretty detailed definition of a data center. And you think a high impact project would fall outside that definition of a data center?
I think that's actually, and looking at and talking with the folks that came and did a presentation from Royalton, that was the intent was certainly data centers would be most likely to have that level of impact, but also potentially any other project that sort of use the same amount of water, cause the same amount of potentially noise pollution or other things. So I'm just thinking that under the circumstances that we've sort of experienced in the last year, we might want to consider some language that isn't specific to data centers, but high impact projects that meet similar criteria.
I have a similar question, and I think the question is for David. In our current bylaws, we have a general term called business services. And in theory, right now, a data center would fall under business services, as would a crypto center fall under business services. And in reading this, there's a sentence that says a facility shall be defined as a data center subject to this interim zoning bylaw if it meets the above definition, which is a definition of data center and or crypto, and one or more of the following criteria. So that's kind of I think, Rose, you and I are asking the same question, does that sentence right there mean if an organization or a business doesn't call itself a data center or a crypto center, but is going to have a high impact use, will that still be captured under this bylaw?
Seemed like it would if it met that previous paragraph. We're defining a data center. We're not defining a data center as a data center. We're defining the data center as a facility used for the storage, management, processing, and so on in that previous paragraph. So if that high impact project were to meet that definition in the previous paragraph, then I guess it would become a data center.
One option would be to change what Leah just read. There's an and in there,
Should be an and or?
or we could change it to or.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that it either
Or-
meets the definition of data center or has one or more of the following criteria. I'd be a little bit concerned about it being overbroad, but you would be, because one of the levels here is emits 70 decibels Lmax or more persistent noise audible to adjacent properties. I can think of a lot of different uses that may do that, and that might be captured by this unintentionally. One of my concerns about this, the high impact use, is its over breadth. And it came from a planning document, not a zoning bylaw. Which means it's, a little bit more aspirational, a little bit broader than what would normally be in a zoning regulation. One might want to say, change that and to an or, and maybe it's meet two or more of the following criteria.
Brent?
David, if you change it to or with the language of a data center on its own, you have data center defined, would that capture Copley Hospital? Would that capture Lamoille South Union District? That's
Those would be exempt. Those are exempt under section 3B.
Right, they're exempt.
okay.
And also just a reminder, we don't have the same exact businesses that Royalton does, but they actually went to the larger businesses, schools in their district to check those against their language to be sure that they wouldn't have,
It wouldn't have.
they would have
constricted
still
them.
been able, none of those businesses would have triggered this level of impact. And it was the case that none of them would have. And also, would it have prevented them from, again, they're already there. So they're pre-existing permit, but they also were checking, would it have prevented them from locating in Royalton in the first place? Any of these criteria? And the case was no. So these are high impact, those are not, a school is a typical impact project, as is a hospital. I mean, not every town has one, but
Well, this isn't the first time we've talked about being cautious about too large an umbrella. Like 5,000 square feet is another one. A building that's 50 by 100 is 5,000 square feet, and we certainly have buildings that large in town. I'm thinking MSI in particular. That
And we
MSI
could certainly
it's
increase
gotta be-
that size too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking that up to, 50,000 square feet or 20,000 square feet, something like that.
Right, yeah.
So in continuing to do research. And particularly with data centers, it's moving very, very fast. So there are now examples where there's talk of what they call micro or edge data centers, which are closer to 10 megawatts, some as low as 5 megawatts, and using smaller space. Still high impact use considering what we have in our community. So 5,000 square feet is what one of these edge data centers is a size that has been, when you do the research, cited as typical. Again, this is an interim bylaw that lasts for up to 2 years, giving the Planning Commission time to fully research and vet bylaws that can be in place until, complete revision. This is just to put a hold for the time being. And so it's a balancing act. If a very large company wants to come in and get all the permitting, you're talking this high impact use, 2 years is not that long of a time to hold off. They have a lot of work that they need to put in place to begin with. And the Planning Commission has up to 2 years.
David, if the board did pass, just for the sake of argument, this language as it is, we're not bound to it for 2 years. It is amendable, I take it. So if
That's
something,
correct.
so if something were to come up, I mean, this is a field that's evolving so quickly, it's hard to keep up with it on a day-to-day basis now, as Leah's pointing out. But if something were to come up in 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, the board could go back and revisit this and change this language. We would have to follow the statute, obviously, but it is amendable.
That's correct. I mean, you just have to hold another public hearing to amend the ordinance. There is, under the statute, a route to have the select board review proposed developments that would otherwise be prohibited by the interim bylaw. But my understanding was we didn't want to go down that road, and we just wanted a strict moratorium. And you are correct that, at any time we could warn a hearing and amend or revise the interim bylaw during the 2-year period.
So our intent tonight, I believe, is to look at this language and to get this out there so that the public has something to look at, which they have right now, and get ready for the August 24th public hearing, which is where we're going to get some feedback. We might get some feedback tonight, I'm not sure. But so I guess my question is there some of this that we've talked about a few things. Is there some of this that we want to change now? Or do we want to wait till the 24th, hear what the public has to say, and then proceed after that?
I would like to at least make that one change we just talked about. And I do have two or three other questions.
That one change being the high impact project?
Being it meets the above definition or one or more of the following
So
criteria.
there's 2 ors there?
Yes.
So the above definition or one or. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
If you change it to or, and I might be misreading this, all that's required if this were to pass is for a building to be greater than 5,000 square feet. That's not high impact in my opinion, and you're gonna have people in front of the select board potentially regularly coming. Or you're gonna have to, you can amend it, so you, I don't know, I don't see
Well,
5,000 square feet
Why don't we
as,
just cross, I mean. I think I'm comfortable just crossing that out. Because you're talking about high impact being the electrical, the water, chemicals, or hazardous chemicals in the water, wastewater, and then impervious surface and noise. So if you take off the square feet,
does that make sense to you, David?
You're muted.
You're muted, David.
Muted,
right
David.
now.
Sorry, I said we could do, we could remove the 5,000 square foot trigger, or we could just say, or 2 or more of the following criteria. And then it would be a building over 5,000 square feet and one of the other, categories there.
my concern with that, if they be, if they say self-contained generating power with extreme water, I think it leaves us too open.
So Leah, you're suggesting
Remove
number 2.
item 2, larger than 5,000 square feet.
And then renumber everything else following that.
Yeah, renumber, yeah. And
Got
then one, and this is just a question because the draft that was presented, I think was had some larger figures, and figures were dropped down. This creates 10 acres or more of impervious surface, and I wasn't sure where that number came from anymore. And because you drop down the wattage, would
Yeah,
you? Would
we
you
would
drop?
we just reduced, it was 20 acres or more of impervious surface area.
Yeah, so
previously.
you basically just reduced it from 20 to 10.
Yep, exactly. I mean,
Okay.
it's for Vermont scale. 20, even 10 acres of impervious surface is enormous. So
So again, going back to the edge data centers, which are smaller, it makes me question, and I don't know the answer to this, would be 5 acres. Would 5 acres be 5 acres or more of impervious surface? More appropriate,
Well,
but 5
you
acres.
live in a 3-acre site, so. So I 5 could be,
That, yeah,
a potential,
it's a high impact.
is 5 high impact?
I'm just feeling the impact that's happening now on my 3 acres.
Me too.
So, but just given, I just saw how you reduced it, and it's like, well, wait a minute, if we're doing that, it should really be more. 5
yeah,
acres,
I
just 10
worry that
acres.
I don't know how much impervious surface area is involved in, for example, the MSI application, but there may be 10 acres of impervious surface involved with that at some point in time.
Mhm.
Or 5 acres, I mean, at least.
So that was one question I had. I don't put it to you guys, I mean.
We could also strike that criterion as well. If Lee doesn't think it's going to capture the smaller data centers, then is it really an appropriate measurement?
So if, I mean, in my concern in capturing the smaller ones, it'd be 5 acres.
Brent, when we were going through the Jersey Heights and the stormwater process, you mentioned, I believe, there were a number of private sites that were also having to go through that. Do you remember, did you know what the acreage of impervious was in any of those sites? Were they over 5?
I don't know the specifics, but if you consider that rooftops,
Mhm.
sidewalks, roads all contribute to that.
Mhm.
So it's quite easy. And with I would think that it'd be quite easy to hit.
Let's see. You know,
5
some of the
acres.
big shopping centers with all the flat roofs they got, yeah.
Yeah.
And parking lots.
And parking lots, yeah, right. Everything basically everything they build is either got it on the roof or on the ground. It's all paved. One of the roof, they're either roofed or paved. So if we've got some already 5-acre sites,
3.
no, I'm saying where any of the other private sites that we weren't.
Oh, I just know that they qualified for 3 acres, so
Oh, okay, I get it.
If-
You didn't have the
if I
square
may.
footage. It was just more than 3. Yeah.
If I may, it looks like, the People's Academy property has 9 acres of impervious. Hannaford says 5.34. The Harvey property on Leper Road is 4.82. Jersey Heights is 10.5. Menasha on Gallery Lane is 6.75. Menasha Industrial Park, 8.25. Morrisville Plaza is 8.83. Nick Menasha's at Northgate, 6 acres. These are all coming from A&R's initial 3-acre permit list, so
Yeah.
that's where I got, it can't be accurate, it might not be be completely accurate, but that's what A&R mapped a few years ago. So there is some, you would capture some other properties in town with over 5 acres.
Okay.
But it doesn't, there's only one that looks like it's less than 10, or over 10, sorry.
And which one was that again, David? School.
Jersey
School.
Heights subdivision.
And school's not, yeah,
School's not, yeah.
accepted. Yeah, it's an excluded. Okay, so that was one question. And then, David, under purpose, specifically under item 2, which talks about preserving the town and village's ability to coordinate land use, planning with Morrisville Water and Light, electric and water utility capacity. I know Scott was also concerned that the renewable energy compliance that Morrisville Water and Light is under also would need to be adhered to and it would not need to be negatively affected. And so I didn't know if we needed to mention that in this, or if that was, because that's more than capacity, that's a legal commitment that they have to meet.
Is it they need to use a certain amount of renewable energy, or is it they need to generate a certain amount?
you need to, I believe it's they need to purchase a certain amount of renewable energy by a date. I'm not certain about that, but that's.
It was in the document,
The earlier document?
yeah, I think the original document. Okay, it's under the original draft that was sent to you under planning considerations.
Fine.
It's page 20 of the select board packet. Number 3, projects must demonstrate compatibility with Vermont's renewable energy standard, clear energy standard, and Morrisville Water and Light's long-term resource planning obligations, including achieving 100% renewable electricity by 2035.
Okay, see that there. Let me see. I can probably just say in compliance with its renewable energy obligations.
Obligations, yeah.
Yeah, or renewable energy standard, Vermont's renewable energy standard, something like that.
Yeah, renewable energy, clean energy standard planning obligations.
And it's.
Uh, are you good? Okay.
I'm just reading what I typed and I'll read it back to you guys in a second. I want to make sure it makes sense.
Sure.
Okay, what I have wrote for number 2, purpose. It now reads, preserve the town and village's ability to coordinate land use planning with Morrisville Water and Lights, electric and water utility capacity, and its long-term resource planning obligations, including Vermont's renewable energy standard and clean energy standard.
That works for me. You, yeah.
So it's basically just the rest of that sentence from the packet on page 20.
Yeah, I didn't include the goal of 100% renewable, but
Yeah.
essentially.
And this, again, this could be because it's not. Maybe it's just not part of bylaws, but some of the other towns and states address that employment and asking that it creates that the position creates more than 10. So for moratorium, it would be creates fewer than 10 permanent on-site jobs per acre of impervious surface. I don't know if our zoning bylaws speak to employment levels. So I'm guessing I'm not sure if that's something.
That would be, it's a very unusual criterion in Vermont upon which to base land use regulation. I'll just say that. I'm not aware of any other zoning bylaw based on employment criterion. Or the creation of a certain number of jobs per acre or anything like that. So that's why we left it out.
Okay.
We could put it in, but I think it would be it would be unique.
Okay, that's why I asked. I just wanted to hear your thoughts
Yeah.
on that. The only other comments I have to do with the planning considerations, not necessarily the bylaw language. Do you guys have any other questions regarding the interim bylaw?
I think I've got a question that came on another document that we received from Massachusetts, but it's not attributable yet, but I think it's a planning question, just as you're saying,
Okay.
rather than a bylaw. So I don't think it's appropriate for me to raise it here because I think we need to stay focused on this,
Got it.
not the down the road.
I have a concern. I think it's a pretty important concern too. So we started this all off as a moratorium on data centers. That's been the context of this conversation all the way through. We've been talking about data centers, and in fact, the title of this document says Town of Morristown and Village of Morrisville Interim Zoning Bylaw Moratorium on Data Centers. But now we're talking about potentially a whole lot more than just data centers. Right? we're talking about. We're talking about large or high impact projects. Which might not smell like a duck, might not look like a duck, and might not quack like a duck. They might have nothing to do with a data center at all. And I'm just a little bit concerned about that, because when we've been talking about data centers, now we're talking about anything. We're talking about data centers and anything else that we consider big. And we're going to be facing the public on August 24th. I don't think anyone who's paying attention to this is going to ask that question. So what, you got a moratorium on shopping malls now? You got a moratorium on schools?
Schools are exempt.
Schools are exempt, thank you.
But
But you can see anything, but anything that's large, you got. I know what the intent is. I understand it. I'm very cognizant of it, and I'm very much in agreement with it. But I just want to say that this is becoming much larger than it was. The umbrella has increased in size quite a bit. I also wonder about the noise limits. I mean, the noise was in here because of data centers, but if somebody wanted to put a gravel extraction business up on Route 15, where the town plan says it ought to go. I mean, this language, emits 70 decibels Lmax or more of persistent noise audible to adjacent properties. That's pretty vague. I don't want to see data centers die because we've gone and opened this up to so much more. That's my concern. Our initial concern was data centers, and data centers are very clearly defined in here. But there's a whole bunch of projects, once we throw that "or" in there, that they're not going to be facilities used for storage, management, processing, transmission of digital data, and so on. They don't have to meet any of that, and they're banned for 2 years. I think we need to talk about this and make sure that's what we're really thinking about doing. So we're talking about all large projects, and then some of them might be data centers.
So I do think something that's going to use 10 or more megawatts, or something that's going to use more than 40 gallons of water per minute. I do think something that would have PFAS, or, chemicals, hazardous chemicals in its wastewater discharge. All of those we should kind of hold on until we're sure our bylaws uphold public health and safety for those items.
And I don't disagree with you. I have concerns about anything that matches that, but I just want to make sure that we're not really talking about data centers anymore.
well,
We're
really,
talking about large projects.
really, after
That's what the moratorium is.
we met with when the Royalton folks did the presentation and we talked with them, we started talking about high impact projects and not specifically data centers. Just for that reason, that meeting those criteria has a huge impact on the town, and making sure that we have the bylaws in place to do this in a thoughtful way as opposed to being reactive. Data centers are the most likely category to meet those criteria, that high impact. But I think that we want to be mindful of not having something else that, oh, it's not a data center, but still has this high impact and strains, all of the things. And we didn't prepare because we went too narrow. And I agree, like it's a balancing act, but being proactive versus reactive.
I would say, Rose, though, if that's now the goal, then I hear what Don is saying, and I would think below the section, if in the section definitions for. We've got a paragraph, a substantial paragraph on data centers. We should then follow that. I'm not supporting this, I'm just putting it out there for discussion. With another paragraph that is highlighted as high impact areas, centers, fill in the word with what you want to do, what it is. And then follow with maybe the paragraph that we were just working on, all data centers and high impact areas. Because it is, Don, I take Don's point, it's kind of buried in language, but it can be drawn out individually. And it really shouldn't be drawn out for anybody's purpose. It should be, our intent should be clear right from the get-go, not buried somewhere in a paragraph on subsection 3. So
Yep, I agree.
And I would say the title should be changed too. It's a moratorium not on data centers, it's a moratorium on high impact projects. That's what we're really talking about. Of which a subset are called data centers. And that's really what we're.
So the original draft,
changing this into.
the original draft had a definition for data center, had a definition for crypto data center, and had a definition for high impact use. So it was very clear. This kind of combined the data center and crypto center definitions under data center. And then it took some of the descriptive information for the rest of that paragraph. So a high impact use was defined as a single commercial or industrial project or business service, because that's what our current bylaws use, that consumes, at the time, I wrote it for 20 or more megawatts, so 10 or more megawatts of electric power, or uses 57,600 gallons of water or more per day, 40 gallons per minute of surface or groundwater, or contains PFAS in its wastewater discharge, or creates, this at 20 would do 10 acres or more of impervious surface, or emits 70 decibels or more of a persistent noise audible to adjacent properties, or creates less than 10 permanent on-site jobs per every acre of impervious surface, and or strains community resources during construction. So we've struck out the, I don't know why larger than 5,000 square feet came from. So we struck that out, and we have creates 10 acres or more of impervious surface. And given the list of 3-acre permit rules, I didn't really hear a 10-acre business on that list. So I think we're okay with 10 acres. Yeah.
We haven't warned August 24th yet.
No, that goes tomorrow.
And so it begs the question.
Because we need the language before we can warn it.
Well, we don't
Right.
provide the specific language, but we need to provide is it data center or is it high impact?
So
That's my question.
Royalton went with high impact because data centers may not call themselves data centers.
Okay, well, that's good. That's where I'm going with this. So, because I wrote that down a while
I'll
ago.
say
So August 24th is really a moratorium on large,
On high impact
I'm
use.
sorry, I keep saying large, but high impact projects, of which data centers belong within.
David?
I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that that's really what the public is hearing. Because that hasn't been clear until tonight, not in my mind. I know it's been in the previous language, but let's face it, when you read through this, you don't see high impact projects anywhere in here. All you see is data centers.
That was
And
my
this is-
very first comment.
And that's because we thought our job was to create an interim bylaw for data centers, period.
Right, so
And
not
that's,
just me who thought this was just data centers.
and that's what the village trustees indicated, a majority of them indicated they would be interested in.
I wasn't at that meeting. I'm wondering how many of them
I'm-
thought they were talking.
At that meeting, I did use high impact use, and I did do the definition of high impact use.
Is there a discussion of
Because
high impact use as well?
I believe so, because that was my presentation. Has always been, yes, we use the word data center, but it was also followed up with high impact use.
Okay, great. If that's the case, then that's good. So as long as they're not coming in feeling like they weren't thinking about these other potential projects. So I'd be happy changing data centers to high impact projects.
Are you-
I'd also be happy, the definition of data center.
I would say
think
high,
That second paragraph under the definition of data center is the definition of a high impact project. Maybe that should go first.
high impact use. Is the phrase high impact use.
You're trying to exist.
I'm referring to, no, I'm actually looking mostly at David Rue's, I'm looking at David's draft here,
Right, but
the August 3rd.
in the packet, high impact use is defined in the packet. And it's comprised of most of what is in the language in this document.
In David's
But
draft,
it's not
yes.
in this pack. It's not in David's.
It's not in David's.
That's what I'm saying.
Most of the language is in its edited form in here under definitions for high impact use. That's, so that, I mean, just because,
It's not described as such, that's all.
well, but it's because the the document that we got to look at to offer comments to David was this document that had that in.
Yes, I did.
Absolutely, I agree.
So
Yeah.
that's, so these criteria in this document that we looked at originally needs to transfer over to, in my opinion, over to this bylaw, because it is confusing
Yeah,
as well. That's why I haven't said it.
Yeah, that's all.
Trying to figure out
that's all I'm suggesting.
what we want at the end of the day.
Right. Brett?
So David, do you know what they're referring to by the high impact use definition? And is it possible to just basically adjust the 20 megawatts to 10 and delete the 10 permanent jobs in the last section of that? So it conforms with your language and add that as a definition?
Yes, I am in the middle of tinkering with it now.
Okay.
What I'm doing is I'm taking the first sentence of the paragraph after data center and adding that to the definition of data center.
Yep.
And then I am similar to the original paper, I will create a high impact use definition. And I think it should just be a facility shall be defined as a high impact use and subject to this interim zoning bylaw if it meets the above definition or one or more of the following criteria. And we hit 10 megawatts of power, 57,000 gallons or more per day of water, contains PFAS over 10 parts per trillion in its wastewater discharge, 10 or more acres of impervious, and emits 70 decibels L max at the property line or otherwise strains community resources during construction. If you would like me to cut any of those criteria, I can do so. We already removed that 5,000 square foot building size.
I'm comfortable with that. And
What I need to do then is go back up and just insert high impact use elsewhere in the draft bylaw, but that's not going to be very hard. I can do that while we're talking.
the title.
There's
Well, thank you.
there's also a sentence in our packet copy, not David's draft. In section 2 definitions, data center, the last sentence says the facility will consume 20, and I'm not sure that's now the right number anymore, or more megawatts of electric power and shall be defined as high impact use. So we're now with that sentence, we're saying the data center also qualifies under high impact use component. Should that, with any numerical adjustments that need to be made for consistency's sake, be also included in what you're working on now, David?
Yes, I can do that.
And it's in the crypto data, again, in our packet, it's in the crypto as well. The last sentence is the same, I think it's the same sentence, I'm reading it quickly.
Yeah, and she'll.
Yes,
she'll be fine.
it's a way of getting the data center or the crypto data center that's bigger, also under the umbrella of high impact use. And I would just bring it to your attention, David, it seems like a good way to go, but there could be, you could have other thoughts that seem like it's mucking it up, but it seems to me that makes sense.
We could do 10. The facility will consume 10 or more megawatts of electric power and shall be defined as a high impact use.
Be 10 megawatts, yeah. And Don, one thought I had about your concern about emitting 70 decibels, Lmax or more persistent noise audible to adjacent properties. That's continuous. And from what I've heard, with extraction and gravel, it's not continuous. It's during business hours and it's for, X number of weeks out of the year. So in theory, they could come to the DRB with a conditional review based on that fact.
That's not persistent.
Correct.
Well, one of the issues with the data centers is it's all night long, 24/7. It disrupts people's sleep, versus.
So I feel like there's a path forward for an organization or a company in that instance.
I just want to be clear, I'm not disagreeing with that.
No, I think it's, no,
But
this is
that-
good. It's a good discussion to have, absolutely.
Yeah.
Correctly,
Because I don't want to prevent
because we just haven't.
Business.
business to come in, but
Hospitals or schools.
it's a balancing act of attracting really good business, but also protecting the health and safety of our community. And again, this is to give our planning commission time.
What do you think, David?
I'm almost finished adding in high impact use where it needs to be. And then we'll have a bylaw that we can put together, we can put up for public notice for the 24th.
So David, going back to Don's, I think, initial entry into this discussion, the title of your document, or the document you drafted for us to look at, Town of Morristown Village of Morrisville interim zoning bylaws moratorium on data centers. Data centers and high impact use facilities. Fill in the blank with the word.
I said projects.
Projects.
High impact uses.
It seems to me, again, if we're talking about high impact in the document, we needed to have it on the title. Or else somebody's gonna say, geez, I thought it was just data centers. I didn't read it, but I thought it was just data centers.
It's now data centers and high impact uses.
Does it have to say data centers
Yes,
in the title?
yes,
That's a good question too.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
that's the question I have because it's a high impact use.
I'm saying yes, because to lay people who are scanning things, reading
Okay.
a data center, they're gonna go, okay, yeah. If we just have high impact uses,
What does that mean?
right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you read the rest of the bylaw.
Maybe, but with the data center, I agree with Lee, it's gonna get their attention. They're talking about the data center. And by the way, what is this other thing? Well, I mean, it's only 3 pages, it's not. It's not the Betsy Scrolls.
Well, it's legible, so I guess it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I've incorporated the high impact use in here. In a number of different places, I've added it where we mentioned data centers up in section 1 in a number of spots. As well as in 3A. And then created a separate definition in 4 for that use. Everything else, I believe, could remain the same. And I can send along a red line and clean version, and then work with Judy for the public hearing notice tomorrow.
Okay.
Would you like me to send that over right now? So maybe you could look at it and give me any changes tomorrow morning if there's some from comments from board members individually.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so send it to Judy.
Yep.
And they can disseminate it to us.
I'll send over a red line and clean version in just a minute.
Don, a question for you.
So do we want to take, one sec, do we want to take time right now to read it before the end of the select board meeting?
I thought that's why he was sending it right now, so you could already do
Okay,
it.
right.
Yeah.
I don't think you need the clean version. If you look at the red line, that'll be,
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise
I
it's
think
pretty a
that's
lot
fine.
more. Okay.
But we eventually will not need to change our motion because the motion has nothing that's specific to data centers or high impact use. It just is just a proposed interim zoning bylaw for Monday, August 24th, 26th of the Tegu Building, et cetera, et cetera. There's no language about data centers or high impact use. So the motion is good as the draft of the motion is good as it stands. We can
Judy
look
was
at it,
thinking
great.
ahead.
Yeah, because she needs to put some language in the public hearing.
Yeah, but I talked with David on, like, the language that wasn't a public hearing, it's not all of this.
Right.
Yeah.
But we do have to make this language available to the public.
Yeah.
Thursday, I believe it is.
So yes, so we can see the red line tonight and,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You said you had questions about the planning.
Well, and I don't have that document. I didn't bring it, but there was a section that discussed, and I will not have the right language, the decommissioning of plants and bonds to fund said decommissioning of plants. I think that's an important concept.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a zoning concept, especially when it's interim zoning that says you can't do this. But when we get to planning, I think it's a big time discussion point. So that's why I'm holding back on it, because it's planning, not.
And that was
Yeah,
some suggestions that was put forth in the original draft of things that in planning should be thought about. And David, in his document, it's separate from the bylaw, but it is planning considerations that he included. But I wanted to touch base, and part of this is because, again, of what Scott Johnston had sent, Morrisville Water and Light, Johnston had sent from Morrisville Water and Light, to be clear that the developers bear the full cost of required infrastructure, because Morrisville Water and Light has a cause or pay policy. And so he definitely wanted that to be part of the planning consideration. Also compatible with the renewable energy and the clean energy standards, and their resource planning that they have to abide by law. One other item has come up as communities are looking at data centers. And the recommendation has been for towns to ask that information collected during the application process, that NDAs not be allowed, that any company, people involved, any financiers need to be disclosed, and that all of the documents need to be available for public review. So that was one of the requirements that was suggested should be made when accepting these types of applications. And so I just wanted to
Again, this
Kinda-
is all down.
down the road, but this is something, but since our attorney had included it as a separate page,
Yeah.
I thought tonight was the night to talk about that, because then this would be kind of the guidelines or the requests that would be made of the planning commission to consider these things. And I didn't know if David has.
Have you sent that red line version to Judy at this point?
I have. She should have it,
I
and
assume that's why she walked out. I just didn't know.
yeah, the planning considerations, that is for you guys to feel free to edit and update as you see fit. I have no real legal concerns
Okay,
about
well,
that document.
David, do you think the town could
Yeah, what, how long?
ask that there be no NDAs, make that a requirement in an application?
Let's just do it.
I think that may interfere with the private right to contract. You may not be entitled to know every subsidiary corporation behind a named corporation. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, unfortunately.
So when Judy comes back in with the red line version, we're just gonna take a couple of minutes and read it. Now that we have our town attorney here, I want to just do this now, get this done. Thank you for drafting that quickly, David.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You understand though this swallow, so.
Because it's. And just all the documents.
Are we in quasi recess for a minute?
What's that?
Are we in quasi recess for a minute?
You can't leave them. In case else to the public. But our permitting process doesn't get into looking at corporate. It's not a depends partnerships, investors. Do that. I shouldn't allow, I'll probably be one.
Thing is, I mean,
State.
somebody's gotta
We'll
be the
talk about it.
first to do some of these things.
I'm going in this direction. We need to go offline.
Well, in the NDA, because I think I read that too, like, because. I mean, one of the things that I was just reading this week, and obviously we're not gonna do that.
I
but
mean, and it's just so many
some
different
city councils are
municipalities, so
just
many
like
different
in secret, like
municipalities.
pressing these things and foisting it on the population, and they have no say. All in secret. I don't know. Hmm?
Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
It's about you.
Separate.
It's curious. This one for George.
I'll tell you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, you want your keys?
Pop out of the classes on. Right there, George.
Thank you.
I'm impressed that he can do that on the spot.
Thank
Impressive.
you. Wouldn't have been able to do it if it was much longer, but when it's only 2 or 3 pages, it's not that bad.
David, would it make a difference? Do we need to use the word electric power, or is it just power? And if they generate their own power, the way it reads, does it have to be, if they say they're generating their own power, this still applies as high impact use, doesn't matter who generates the power. Is that correct?
It
That's-
says capable of consumption, so it doesn't matter who generates it, it's about usage.
Okay. Do we need to be specific to electric power, or can it just be
What-
power? Well, there's hydro, it's electric, but it's hydro.
But it's all.
Yeah. It's-
No, I would eliminate,
Correct.
I would
Thank you.
delete power before I deleted electric and just change it to electricity.
There's lots of form.
Power's fine, yeah, there's different types of,
That's one of the other health and safety concerns is diesel generators or bringing in gas power generators just as their own power source.
But that's, at the end of the day, you don't
It's-
plug.
it's creating electricity.
You don't fill your computer with diesel.
Yeah.
You use the electricity, AC or DC, that's
Coming from
fine
that, okay.
from whatever the source may be.
Okay.
Which is still that same 10 megawatts.
David, the bottom of page 2, the last sentence of the page now, because there's been strikeouts on all data center structures. The sentence in blue, the facility will consume 10 or more megawatts of electric power shall be defined as
High impact.
high impact use. The content is right. It just feels like it doesn't flow. All data center structures on a property within a half mile or any point on the property on which a data center is or is proposed to be located shall be aggregated to calculate the total scale of the use. That's fine. The facility, the data center, it just, I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Should say a facility which consumes 10 or more.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for down. It's not, I'm not questioning the content. It's just the grammar.
So,
Yeah, it came from, that was copied and pasted from the earlier draft, and I agree it is, it's not the best in terms of wordsmithing, and I think you're right, maybe just say a facility.
Any facility.
a facility which consumes 10 or more megawatts.
Which consumes 10 or more. Yeah, I like that one.
And then
Well,
give
here's
them-
my question. What if the data center consumes less than 10 or more megawatts?
Then it's not considered high impact use.
But it's still a
Yeah,
data
but it
center.
would still be a data center.
Still a data center, right? That last sentence to me is only to get the second umbrella of high impact use potentially over a data center.
So you can have data centers that are high impact that are prohibited, and you can have data centers that are high impact uses that are also prohibited.
I guess, yes.
Okay, so a facility which consumes. Make sure I track changes. A facility which consumes 10 or more megawatts of electric power shall be defined as a
Yeah.
high impact use.
That works for my reading. I don't know about anybody else.
Any other comments regarding this draft?
I like it.
I'm gonna, actually, George, I'm gonna change that. So it says a facility which is capable of consuming 10 or more megawatts to reflect the below
Yeah.
definition.
And essentially with the other high impact use, it would capture on edge data center through use of water.
Yeah,
The
it just didn't flow.
Yeah.
It didn't flow off my tongue very well, but the
Yeah.
concept.
This sentence wasn't. So a facility which is capable of consuming 10 or more megawatts of electric power shall be defined as high impact use.
High impact. Okay,
Anything else? Good.
Good.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. Thank you.
you're welcome. I will send a red line and clean version of this to Judy momentarily.
But we still need the motion, right? Don?
Yeah. Yeah, so
And
we
then Judy, I will work with you tomorrow morning on the public hearing notice.
Okay, thank you.
So I would entertain a motion.
I move to schedule a public hearing on the proposed interim zoning bylaw for Monday, August 24, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. at the Tegu Building Conference Room, and direct the administration to publish and post public notice in accordance with 24 VSA section 4415 and 4464, and to send any required mailed notices.
Thank you, Richard. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Richard, a second by Leah. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Thanks, David.
You're welcome.
Thank you, David.
Yeah. And
Thanks,
thank you.
David.
Leah.
Welcome,
You put
everybody.
in a
Have a
ton
good
of
night.
work on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. I'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks, David.
Yep.
Okay, old business, we're all set. Approve the warrants. I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the warrants.
Second.
A motion by Richard and a second by Leah. Any discussion regarding the warrants? Okay, all those in favor of the warrant or the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, schedule. Those of you listening in, you know that Monday, August 17th is our next regular select board meeting at 5:30. Monday, August 24th will be the public hearing regarding the interim bylaws that we've just been discussing. The September 7th select board meeting is canceled. And on September 21st, we have multiple meetings. We'll have a site visit for Ledge Road at 4 o'clock. That will be followed by a site visit for Davison Road at 4:30. And then back in this room, there will be a public hearing for Ledge Road at 5:30. There will be a public hearing for Davison Road at 5:45. And upon the end of that public hearing, we will have our regular select board meeting to follow. Other business? No? I believe we have executive session.
I move that the select board enter into an executive session pursuant to 1 VSA section 313 alpha 2 to discuss the negotiating and or securing of real estate purchase option on behalf of the town, and include town manager Brent Raymond, executive assistant Judy Alberry, chief of police Jason Luno, EMS chief Corey Boisvert, Fire Chief Dennis DiGregorio, David Roy, and Bert, I knew that, DeLabriere of Wyman Lamfair.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Richard, second by Leah. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Somebody else pronounce it.
I would have butchered it.
Thank you, folks. So good evening. It is 8:53. I would entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Make a motion to come out of executive session.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So motion by Richard, second by Rose to come out of executive session. Again, it's 8:53. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Have a motion,
Second.
second by Leah. Discussion. It's 8:54. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you, folks. Have a good evening.